What's going on, guys? I just picked up my absolute grail card. Well, one of my absolute grail cards, I should say. And I'm really excited to announce this card. I know you guys haven't seen uploads as consistent from me the last 2 days. We've had a lot of stuff going on here, which is really kind of a buildup over the last month. First, the furnace went out, then the dishwasher went out, and luckily I was able to take that fully apart and repair it and clean it. Which if you don't clean your dishwasher regularly, probably will break down or overflow like ours did, and almost ruining our kitchen floors. And then last but not least, I thought I had fixed my laundry machine, and then the laundry machine also broke down. And so we spent the entire first day trying to deal with it, and then I thought I fixed it, and then it just broke the next day, and I spent the whole day bringing in a new laundry machine, which hopefully will not break down. So I feel like all of the stuff breaking in our house has finally passed, but I wanted it to be the right day. I started today off right. It was very productive. I got some cards shipped out. I went to the bank, made some deposits for the bar, and then I went to the gym and got a really good workout in, and got to learn some stuff about this card and the inspiration for this card, for this Pokemon. So I'm really excited to announce to you guys. Now, this was a private deal. And there's another card that's kind of a part of this pickup, but I am saving that for another video because these are big cards, and I do think that they are some of the absolute grail cards in the hobby, and they deserve a lot of respect, and they deserve their own videos. So instead of doing a mystery mail day like I oftentimes do, this will be its own video for this card. I'm very excited. I will have this card probably the rest of my life, hopefully the rest of my life. The only reason I would probably ever let go of it is if I upgraded it to a higher grade. But very iconic card we have here. Very excited to announce this with you guys. And I really wish I could post the original video of me unboxing everything, because as you guys know, I pretty much buy most of my cards off of eBay through auctions. And this time I worked off of eBay. It felt very risky. I used PayPal goods and services. And had to list out everything in the description of what I was getting. It really was a stressful process, and it was a very expensive thing to do without the assurance of eBay, but it all worked out, and so I'm kind of learning how to make my own private deals. Anyways, I'm very excited. Everything worked out. I am very excited to show you guys this card. This is definitely a big step in terms of progress with my collection goals. I love this Pokemon. I love this card, and it brings back a lot of good memories just looking at it. And here we go. So without further ado, as you guys can tell, it is an old PSA cert. Now, typically I would say avoid old certs. As you guys can see, the card's in really, really good condition. If we want to look closer up here, without even seeing what the card is, you can see that the corners are very, very crisp. See if we can get that to zoom in on that. The card is in very, very good condition. It was very well kept in this casing for all these years. Now, the story behind this collector that I got this from, shout out to Brad for hooking me up on these, by the way. He picked these up for much less than what I paid for them today, obviously. I didn't get some kind of crazy deal. I did get a really good deal. I'm excited to talk about all of that, as well as the inspiration behind this card, all that good stuff. But just so you guys know, he picked this card up for 500 or 460, I believe, maybe 500. Very, very cheap price at the time to pay for this card. And he sold it to me for 1900. Here we go. You guys ready? Dun, 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 dun. Boom! We got a first edition Venusaur. First edition base set. Let's see if it can focus in on that. Absolutely gorgeous. The card's in impeccable condition and shape. The cinematic mode that I've just started using, it takes forever to upload these videos and for them to process because of the cinematic mode, how it blurs out everything in the background and focuses on what's in front of it, which is really, really cool. Sometimes it can be frustrating, but I do think it really adds a lot of flair to showing cards like this. Now, unfortunately, in terms of design, Venusaur takes up a lot of the hollow portion, so you don't actually see a lot of hollow action on Venusaur. We can barely even see some of those hollow stars on Venusaur. And then notably, you guys can see here, it is not a thick stamp, which I would definitely highly advise going for a thick stamp. It is a thin stamp, and my arms are shaking because of my workout, but I'm gonna put my elbows right here, try and hold this guy up for you guys. So this first edition Venusaur, absolutely stunning, has a little bit of an imperfection on it. And I noticed this after picking up the card. The original owner didn't say anything about it, probably didn't even notice it, but it's one of my favorite things about this card and the card that it came with. See, this card and the other card that I have yet to announce to you guys in terms of the additions to my collection, they both have the same flaw. But so I think it's really cool because they came from the same home, same original collector, and were held together for a long time. So you guys probably aren't going to see this, but where I can barely even make it out on the camera. Turn this guy around real quick. You guys are not going to be able to see this. You're not going to be able to see this. So this card actually is a red dot error. Just a little bit of red ink from the factory got on an area of this card, and it's on the other card too that this card came along with. It's not going to show up on camera, but we're going to try anyways. You guys may or may not see it. It's just the teeniest, tiniest little red dot right up there. I doubt anybody's going to be able to see that. Anyways, another notable characteristic of this specific card is that it's a little bit off center. I've said in the past that I would rather have an off center 9 with a really, really clean back than have a kind of rough back with perfect centering. So it's exactly what I want. Now, in terms of Venusaur and the inspiration behind Venusaur, Mitsuhiro Arita is the original illustrator for Venusaur. But the inspiration comes from the original creator of Pokemon, Ken Sugimori. Now, Ken was a collector of insects and reptiles. It's kind of interesting because it's definitely a toad. It's definitely kind of a toad-like Pokemon. I'm sure it says that in the description. No, it says seed Pokemon, which Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, Venusaur really, I think in the Japanese translation, it's supposed to be seed, grass, flower, which is pretty cool. But it says seed Pokemon. This plant blooms when it's absorbing solar energy. It stays on the move to seek sunlight. Now, that's kind of interesting because what a lot of people think that the actual plant on Venusaur's back is related to is the Rafflesia. So if you don't know what that is, it is a plant, it is an endangered species. There's, I think, 41 species of them. I looked into this very briefly because it was interesting to me, and I want to dive a little bit deeper, especially with these very vintage OG, the cards that started it all. I want to give these cards a little more respect, and I'm sure I still don't do a card like this justice. But that flower on his back is after the Rafflesia, which is actually not a flower that goes through photosynthesis. It does not get its energy from the sun. It actually is a parasitic plant that finds a host and kind of basically leeches off that host. And while it is a parasite, it's an absolutely gorgeous flower, we'll call it, even though technically it's a parasite. And these are endangered right now, mostly found in Asia. I want to say the forests of Borneo, or Borneo, however you pronounce that. Guys, don't flame me. I'm trying my best. But this plant, the plant that's on his back, that's said to be, the plant that's on top of Venusaur, is actually an endangered species right now, which is kind of sad. Now, what's interesting is Venusaur himself, right? He looks like a big, ugly, fat toad. Okay, let's just be real here. Venusaur is not he doesn't inspire us to be our best selves. I mean, Venusaur is just this chunky dude moving around. He looks super lethargic. We still love him. He's still the GOAT. But Venusaur is very much on the opposite end of the spectrum from Blastoise and Charizard, in my opinion. He's very chill. And I like that. He's chill. He's our flower boy. I don't think he gets enough respect. I think that Venusaur really is undervalued in the market, and we're going to talk about that here in a second as well. But I do, before we get to numbers, and Orion, just tell us what this thing is going for, why you bought it, what made it such a good deal for you, what was the reason behind going after this. I'm trying to recomplete my first edition base set collection, my master set, in all PSA 9. It's going to be really difficult, especially with the Charizard being the last recorded sale, I think, for a 9 being around, or at least what PSA records is 16.6 is the low. I think middle range 17.5, and then upper range I think 20. So that card's come down quite a bit. But anyways, Venusaur is absolutely a Grail card. It's one of the top 3. For whatever reason, it's cheaper than Blastoise and Charizard. People just don't like it nearly as much, which really bothers me. This card's one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. I don't talk about it enough, but I really should give it more credit. It's my favorite modern artwork as well. This Pokemon gets debuted in Pokemon 151. The SIR is an absolutely stunning visual and artwork of Venusaur in the forest. It's just beautiful. Does this Pokemon so much justice? Let's talk about Venusaur himself, though, okay? My camera is just going crazy. It's just trying to focus in and out. Okay, let's bring that down. So, Venusaur is said or rumored to be inspired off of, I think I've already forgotten. I don't know how I'm going to pronounce this properly. B.L. Buzo. B.L. Buzo. I want to say it's B.L. Buzo. I'm going to botch that up. But it's B.L. Buzo, I believe. I looked at how to pronounce it. I looked at the name over and over, saying to myself, there's no way I'm going to get this right. B.L. Buzo. Babe, does that sound right? B.L. Buzo? She's talking with her mom. Okay. B.L. Buzo, I think, is how to pronounce it. Anyways, let's get into why this name matters, what it's based off of, why that matters. So this was a ginormous toad from the Cretaceous period. Am I even saying that right? Here's what I get for trying to sound more educated on where the inspiration from Venusaur comes from. Anyways, they found a fossil of this toad, I believe in 1993, which is interesting because that's about around the same time that Pokemon kind of became a thing. Now, it's a little bit too close to say that that's where the inspiration came from. But one thing that's interesting is it is a toad. It was known to be the size of a normal sized cat today, which is pretty big, guys. We're talking about a toad that like could fit in my arms like this. We're talking about a massive toad, right? That was said potentially to have eaten small dinosaurs. Now, in terms of Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, and Venusaur, and the names being Saur, it was never Ken Sugimori's intention to have these Pokemon kind of assimilate to dinosaurs. Really, it wanted them to be closer to seed, grass, flower. But that was the English, the Western release of Pokemon in English. That was their way of, I guess, making everything a little bit more cohesive, coherent. I don't know if that's the right way to say that. But anyways, people really took to it. Obviously, Pokemon was a really big deal. The 1999 Pokemania. Anyways, all very interesting. One thing that I find interesting is that the Beelzebub, if I'm saying that right, Beelzebub, Beelzebub. I think it's Beelzebub. I'm going to get flamed on this, but you guys are going to look this up and you're going to know exactly what I was trying to say. I don't have a script or anything. I don't have stuff that I read off of. Probably should start doing that more, but I want everything to be organic and fresh. But anyways, Beelzebub. I think that's think that's pretty close. I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyways, the reason that I'm so stuck on that is because I really want to do this card justice and give it the respect that it deserves. So the BL Buzo, if I'm saying that right, this toad was a ginormous toad and also had spikes on its back and was a amphibious, poisonous type of toad. So all the things that kind of make sense when you're looking at Venusaur. Now, one thing that's interesting is you don't really see ears on the now extinct massive toad, but you do see spikes, like kind of horns almost. I'm guessing to ward off an adaptation to ward off predators, whatever. This stuff is fascinating to me, by the way. I've always loved lizards. I collected lizards since I was a kid. I stopped when I was in maybe late middle school to high school. But now I have a bearded dragon and I'm kind of reliving all those memories, as well as collecting Pokemon all over again. What's interesting is his ears remind me a lot of the horns, the spikes that are on that extinct frog. So it's pretty cool. And then, of course, the flower is the Rafflesia. I'm never going to pronounce that properly either. Known as the corpse flower, because it smells like, I guess, rotting flesh and looks like flesh as well. Really interesting flower. That it's sad because that's going extinct, but that flower was, I think, found by an explorer who was absolutely dumbfounded when he found the flower, because he was like, whoa, we're finding a flower that doesn't typically feed off of sunlight and nutrients like other plants do. It's a parasite flower. It has, a completely different way of life. It finds its host. It lives off that. It's pretty incredible. And it is known as the largest. I think now we know that there's a larger flower in the world, but what's on his back, the Rafflesia, or what it looks like, is supposedly supposed to be like the largest flower in the world. So I think that's pretty cool. I think a lot of OGs are people that are really into the lore and kind of rumored facts behind Pokemon. Probably already know this stuff, but it's not something that I talk about a lot. And with this card being super iconic and an OG card, I wanted to do it justice. So yeah, some little fun facts about Venusaur. And what makes it special, what makes the design special. And Arita absolutely killed it. The older cartoonish designs are what do it for me. It gets me every time. The more I look at this card, the more I love this card. I want to say that this is actually King Gary's favorite. We know him as kind of King Pokemon, or the guy with all the first edition Charizards, but I think his favorite Pokemon is actually Venusaur. Now, that may also be due to the fact that Venusaur's market value is much less than Blastoise and Charizard, and maybe they want to artificially inflate that a little bit. But I don't think so. I think he genuinely really likes Venusaur, and he just doesn't get the love that he deserves. Now, facts on Venusaur. PSA prices Venusaur first edition PSA 9 around 27 to 2800. Last recorded sale was $24.75, nearly $2,500. Now, because I was able to pick this card up for $1,900, it makes it a really good price for me. It makes it phenomenally good for me. I'd saved about $600. Now, I didn't originally pull the trigger on this. I really did have to think about it for a little while. Originally, I had decided maybe it wasn't for me. It's spending too much money and making my first private deal with such high stakes, with such high value cards. But the guy seemed really genuine. He seemed legit. He just really didn't want to lose money on fees on eBay. We had an original deal on eBay, but he canceled it because of the fees, which I was upset about the next day. But in the end, I'm very happy that he canceled it, because I think overall I saved over $1,000 on the purchase of this and another card. But absolute beauty. So I picked this up for well below market, not like a crazy deal by any means, but it's still a really good price, and kind of got me more open-minded to making private deals, which is something that I really took a while for me to come around to. The population of PSA 9 Venusaur is very similar to Blastoise and Charizard, around the 700 mark. It might be even less than that, like 600s, with sub 200 of them in a PSA 10. I think it's 119, but don't quote me on that. I just browsed over on that just to, you know, put it in perspective that between the 9s and the 10s, there's less than 1,000 of these in the entire world in this kind of example, in this kind of condition. So if you have one of these, it's a very special thing and should be cherished and loved for a really long time. I'm absolutely stoked to have this card, and I'm still skeptical looking over it on a daily basis to try and find where the flaws are. But I think they honestly just docked this card because it's off-center. I mean, it's obviously off-centered. We're gonna look at it again, but yeah, it's a low pop card. This is an old cert. Just to put it next to my Charizard, which is only a 5, which I'm hoping to replace and use the sale of this card, the proceeds, to go towards a 9. But if you look at that, there's the old cert here. It's a little bit wrinkly too. And then here's the new cert. You can see just the minute differences, like the, get my head out of there, like the little emblem up at the top, as well as the color. The font and the color is just a little bit different on the two. I honestly, me and a friend both agree the older slabs actually look really, really good. But I will say, especially with a PSA sleeve, it matches the top really nicely when it's a PSA sleeve. Get that showing. But yeah, this is a huge pickup for me. I'm really excited to have this card in my collection. The last PSA 9 base set first edition card we picked up was a Gyarados. So I'm really excited. I've now crossed off 2 of the 16 first edition base set cards. I don't know if I'm going to go for the entire base set in first edition PSA 9. That's going to be really difficult. There's 16 cards. I'm already going after gold stars. I already want to go after first edition shinings. And I still haven't completed the crystal set. I need the crystal Celebi still, which just sold right out from under me not too long ago. So it's going to be tough completing these goals. But I know one thing is for sure. I definitely want my favorite first edition base set cards to be in a 9. I have a lot of 7s and 5s, and I'm honestly pretty okay with them. I know what I like, and this goes into another point of collect what you love and don't, you know, there's this aspect of, you know, being a completionist and being OCD and having everything match and be uniform. And I totally get that. Being a completionist is a lot of the reason I collect the way I do. I want to collect my theme decks. I want to have those finished. I want to collect the Game Boy games. I like these smaller sets where they feel a little bit easier to collect in terms of like niche Grail cards. It's a lot easier because I've been trying to complete all of the much larger main sets, and it's just so much. It's so hard to go after all those sets. If you're not making private deals and buying a bunch of collections, which make it easier to put everything together, it's hard to go after those cards one at a time. And you guys remember early on in this channel with the mail days, I was getting in like 50 to 100 pieces of mail for individual cards. It was insanity. I don't think I'll ever do something like that again. I really thought that they were going to be fun videos, but they kind of burnt me out. And it was just a lot of mail to rip through. So I'm really excited about this Venusaur to add into the collection. We can take one more look at this again. I'm going to take it out of the sleeve for you guys. And like, this is a very clean 9 in my opinion. This is what one should look for when they're buying a 9. Really, really glossy, hollow. If we put the external light on that from the other room, it's very glossy. You can see there's no scratches at all on this hollow. It's in really, really good condition. And of course, from the front, you can tell that it's off center. This side is definitely more slender. The top and this side are more slender than the bottom and this side. A little chunkier on those edges. We flip it around. You can see the back. Super clean. Super clean. Against my black shirt, you can see how clean this card is. There's barely any edge wear whatsoever on this card. It's very, very clean. If anybody wants to nitpick, feel free. Looks like we got a white dot over here, but very, very clean card. Anyways, I'm very excited, and I've been holding that one off for a while, but it's a crazy card. I would have been probably shouting and yelling at how excited I am to have this card, but right now, my daughter is taking a nap, so we'll save that for maybe another video. Anyways, guys, Appreciate you guys for popping in, watching my videos. It's been a rough couple days, but I'm really glad I got to announce picking up this card and sharing it with you all. Anyways, we have some other stuff in the works. Obviously, it's Tuesday night. We're doing comedy tonight at the bar. And then tomorrow we will have our live stream. I'll probably, because we're going to be opening 151, I'll probably be doing a video tomorrow talking about 151, preaching about that product again. I don't do that as much these days, but and then here we have another order from Best Buy that came through. Currently, they are still sold out of stock on Target and Best Buy for 151. So I was really lucky that I could snag a couple more of these before they went out. The last live was epic. We pulled the Charizard again from 151. That's the fourth Charizard that we pulled from 151. So that was pretty awesome. And then let's go ahead, open these up. It's kind of weird. The first products that I got from Best Buy were just in a box. They kind of just got thrown around. This one, they used a bubble mailer, which I think maybe is a better bet. You can see right here, this, thank you, Best Buy. So we're definitely opening this booster bundle. This booster bundle got crushed. They really shouldn't have shipped it that way. It should be wrapped up in some bubble in a rigid box. Box number 2 looks pretty good. It's pretty clean overall. Box number 2 looks pretty good. The bottom of box number 2 is a little bit crushed. It's a little bit crushed on the side. Guys, this is unfortunate because these packs easily could get bent or crushed on the inside, so that's a little bit worrisome. But maybe this last box will be clean and I can put it away because I'm trying to collect some product. Yep, and this box is damaged as well. All 3 of the booster bundles that I ordered were damaged. Maybe we'll just go ahead and open all 3 of them for the stream. I really want to start hoarding some of this 151 product. I do think that it's the evolving skies of Scarlet and Violet. But here you have it. We have these 3 in. Probably open 1 or 2 for the live, as well as a Heavy Hitters Premium Collection box, maybe an ETB from one of the older sets. I've got a bunch of stuff in my garage that I started pulling out, so that'll be exciting. But anyways, appreciate you guys. If I mispronounced stuff or didn't call the toad the right name, just bear with me. I'm going off the top of my head with this stuff, and I tried to look at that name over and over, how to pronounce it, and it's just, you guys know, it's tough for me to pronounce some of these Pokemon names. Anyways, peace out, guys. Have a fantastic day. Let me know what you think about the Venusaur. Did I do well on it? Did I get a good deal on it? Would you have purchased that Venusaur for $1,900 through a private deal, through somebody you never worked with before, going out on a limb to get a good deal? Guys, this just goes to show there's still deals out there. That wasn't a crazy deal, but there are still really good prices to get out there. I know from the last sale of $24.75, I'm way happier to pick this card up for $1,900. So really excited. Anyways, peace, guys. Have a great day.